Hi everyone, it's Jenny here from Jen Skinner Art. Sat down and I was about to start on a project and I thought, why don't I film it and bring you along so you can see what I'm up to. Now, it's no surprise that I love pink. I think you can see that from the footage that you're viewing right now. And if I can't actually find something that is pink, I'll just paint it pink. So I'm in the process at the moment of painting this sharpener. It's by Faber-Castell, it's a black one, and the color that I've used at the moment is Cosmopolitan number 17 by French Formula. It's a really pretty apricot-y pink, and I won't leave it as is. So this is one that I did earlier, and it started out with the Cosmopolitan, and then I've finished it off with the shimmer. So this one is called Let's Dance 172. So that's just a staple remover that again came in black and I wanted it in pink. So my sister-in-law knows I love miniatures, knows I love lady beetles, and also knows I love pink, but she wasn't able to get that combo, and you don't see it all that often. So she bought me these beautiful little miniature pots, and I've been using them for holding my glue bottles for the miniatures I've been making. I've only got a few in here at the moment, but as I've been quilling, I've been tossing them in. And I also kept my pin that I use for removing excess glue when I'm working on miniatures, and a few of my little clips for holding things in place. All of that plus more has been in these little pots. But now I want to adjust them to make them fit into my space. This one here, I don't know if you can pick the difference, but it now has a pearlized pink sheen to it, but it's not showing up as much as what I'd like. So I'm going to put a second coat of the shimmer on this one and see if there's enough of a transformation, and then if it's not, I'm going to go to some of these other colors, paint over my lady beetle, and then put the spots back in. I also enjoy painting with these nail art brushes. They're absolutely gorgeous. I keep them in a glass container so that I can see all the sparkles, and they're really fine. So I don't know if you can see how tiny that is. There's only a few hairs. So they're absolutely gorgeous. I do use them for my acrylics, and you can see this one is a little bit bent because it's been used the most, probably because it's got pink sparkles, and acrylics will damage them, and I'll just buy some more. They're there to be used, so I'm using them. So I'm going to go to the one that I started earlier, and I'm going to put this little bit of shimmer on it. And I'm not using the finer brushes at the moment. I'll probably use those when I come to putting the spots on. Now, if you go slightly out of the original design, it cleans up really easily, just with some acetone, some nail polish remover. Alrighty, so putting 2 coats of the shimmer to my eye has made quite a difference, but it hasn't taken away from the integrity of the original. Like, you can still see through it. So I'm happy with that. I'll set that one aside. And now I'll have a go, I think, not with that one. I think I'll go the lighter color. This one is Kitty Cat, and that's kind of cute. So I have a gazillion nail polishes, and I also have a UV hardener so that I can dry anything that I do with nail polish super quickly, and yet I rarely paint my own nails. Alright, so this one is a more opaque colour and it's quite streaky, so I'm not quite as happy with the finish on that one. It would change after I've put my sparkle on. Can I prop these for you? Let's see. There's one there. Okay, so 2 coats of sparkle there. With a very transparent colour, and then one of the more opaque. Yeah, I'm almost tempted just to wipe that off straight away. I won't, but I'm tempted. Alright, now I'm going to go to this darker colour. You glow, girl. You glow, girl. And let's try it. I was going to say from memory it's a more transparent, which it is. And this, even if I decide not to leave it on the lady beetle, I know where this one's going to look beautiful. Oh, that's very pretty. That's going to be lovely. I'm going to use that for doing the marks on the inside, absolutely, definitely. And because I love that one so much and I'm not happy with this one, I'm going to see if I can wipe it off already. Started to set. Hasn't completely set, so I'm able to get it off with the nappy wipe. I could just get the acetone. This is the beauty of working with enamel nail polishes on a glazed ceramic surface, is that you can always go back to the glaze. Like, nothing is permanent. So if you decide years down the track or a few months down the track, I really preferred the original, you just get a little bit of acetone and wipe it off. Now I have 6 containers. I'm thinking I might do 6 in the dark pink and 6 in the light pink. So this one gets a really nice coverage first time round. A little bit not uncovering on this side. There we go. Ooh la la! Now I'm not putting enough on for them to drip, so I can actually set them up on this side to dry. You just can't see the lady beetle. So I'm pressing quite firmly with my brush reloaded it then, fanning out the bristles. You know, if a little bit of the orange peeps around the outside edges, that's not going to be a problem either. Pink and orange go beautifully together. So I'm going to go back to this one, 172, Let's Dance. So I'm not actually using that one. So I think today I'm going to just use the two. I use this one a lot as an overglaze. So it's starting to run out, and I just bought myself a new bottle. So that's one coat on that one. That's a dark pink. That's the 2 coats. This must be the remaining one. So I've got plenty of enamel on my brush. Trying not to touch it too many times. Very happy with that. Done. And now on the inside you can see that there's a little pattern, so it's almost like a scallop and then a dot, scallop then a dot. So I'm going to go to this one. I've got an O on it, meaning it's opaque, but it's not real opaque. It's opaque compared to this one. Most of my bottles actually have an O or a T on it, letting me know what they are. So these ones are obviously newer bottles, and I know that that's an O, and I know that that's an O. So sometimes when you pick up the bottle you can't quite tell, and you've got to, like, by experience, know whether it's opaque or transparent. Alrighty, so now I'm just wanting to do the scallops. I've got plenty on my brush. My scallop might end up being a slightly different shape to the one that's in here. That won't matter because I'm thinking I might do the rim of the little pots as well. And they were originally hand painted, and now I'm going over it in my own style. So we're not going to totally match on every single one, but that's the nice bit about having your own signature on something. I don't want mine to look exactly the same, just a different colour as the one underneath. I'm happy if a little bit of my own brush stroke and shape shows up. Alrighty, that's very pretty. Now I'll show you what I'll do for the dots. And I don't know if you noticed, but the nail polish brushes, these ones here that are so fine, actually have a little ball end on the other end for doing the nail art and doing the design. I'm not sure that that ball is going to be quite big enough. I might have to go to this one. It's slightly larger. Can you see that the ball's a little bit bigger? And what I do with this, I'll just shift these out of the way now, is I just put a little puddle oftentimes. So there's a little puddle of enamel, which might be hard for you to see, and I do think I'm going to need the thicker one. Absolutely. So now I'm just dipping the ball into my little spot of enamel, and I'm going along and roughly covering the blue spots that were there before. I'm kind of inclined to go over the semicircles. I think I might go over those in the sparkle, but I'm going to leave the dark spot. That's what I'm thinking. So there's the difference. Now one is a lovely pink compared to the navy that it was. And this one here is the darker pink, and this one is 2 coats of the lighter. That's very pretty. That seems to be dry enough for me to put a little bit of sparkle on, so I shall have a look and see if I want to do sparkle over all the dark ones, or maybe just do 3 coats on the other. I'm not sure. I think I probably like it without. I think I probably like this one better. Maybe let's try something else. Let's put a little puddle of the sparkle, and let's see if the dark pink and just sparkle dots might be, that might be the way to go. Oh, so on the light ones I can put dark spots, and on these dark ones I can put the lighter spots. That is very pretty. And then if I want to, I can also just apply a little bit of sparkle to the legs. Not trying to completely cover. I was going to say overlay, which is also what I'm doing. So not a complete cover. I might just put a little bit on the yellow as well, make it a little bit apricot-y. Oh, I like that. So we've still got the original blue peeping through, but now we've got a lovely deep pink lady beetle with bright pink spots. And then on the inside we're going to have dark pink, but I think I'm going to take this off. I'm going to take that one off, right back to the very beginning, but this I'll keep the same. So at the moment I'm just going to use a damp nappy wipe just to give that brush a little bit of a clean, and I'll go and get my acetone and give it a proper clean in a few seconds. Okay, I've got dinner on and I've been playing around with a few things. When you use a nail polish, the brush that's in it is always flat. So if I wipe that off, it's always flat. So it makes it more difficult to get an arch, because if you just go straight, you end up with a flat end. You can use the tip and round things, but it's a little bit trickier than if you were to use say a filbert shaped brush. And let me grab one of those for you. Most of mine are fairly damaged. But a filbert brush has that natural round edge, and that natural round edge would be a lot easier for me to get the little arch shapes that are in here than what I'm doing. The same thing when I'm doing the dots. If you have a lot of paint in your brush, so there's plenty of paint loaded on, you can tip your brush up onto its tippy toe and you can make a really nice dot like so. If you don't have as much paint in here, you're not going to be able to basically put a drop on. So in between filming last time and this time, I've done a few things. The first is I've decanted a whole heap of my Digger's acetone into an empty one of these bottles, nail polish bottles. It's got a slight milky tinge to it because even though I tried cleaning the brush, there's obviously been a slight residue left. So this is just pure acetone in an emptied bottle. The nail polish that was in there, I've put into this bottle, and I've made a note that it's 50% Kitty Cat, which is the colour, and 50% acetone, and I've put it in here on the 6th because what I want to know is how long will it actually last before it hardens. Will the seal on this bottle be sufficient to keep it viable like a normal nail polish bottle will, or is it going to thicken up and dry much quicker? And the idea with this is that it has a little dropper in it, so I can very easily make large dot patterns using nail polish. So that's one thing that I experimented with. The other thing I experimented with was removing the brush out of a nail polish container, and then it's actually an oval, but if you charge it up enough you can get these large circles happening. So I might be able to zoom in a little bit more. So that's this one with the brush removed. And then the last thing I did is I absolutely adore these little bottles. I use them with my acrylic paints all the time. So I've got lots of different colors that I've mixed up and I've put in here. But I've never actually tried putting a nail polish in one. So again, I've got NP for nail polish, decant, meaning that I've put it into here from another bottle, and I've done it on the 6th. And at the moment, it's going to give me the most gorgeous little dots that you can ever imagine. And because nail polish is quite viscous, they're actually domed up. You can't quite see that. I'm wondering if I can lift my... Can you see that they're domed? Not quite. Anyway, they're absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to be able to use this for doing some of the dots on my little jars. Like this one. When I say jars, I mean little bowls. And it should be a lot easier than trying to do it this way. Now, as far as the arch goes and painting an arch inside, I've just been laying the brush on its side and going around. So it would be better if I used a small filbert, and I can do that, but the arches are not so bad. The dots were harder to do. and you saw me using this before, so it's doable. But let me just show you where I'm up to at the moment. Now I can give that a bit of a wipe. I don't mind if it smudges, most of it's come off. These are the two colours that I'm currently using. You Glow Girl, I like that. So I quite like this one. I left the blue in there and just put the You Glow Girl on the rim and on the dots, and then it was the lighter one. I put the Glow Girl as the spots. But anyway, let's give it a go. So I've got my brush nicely charged, and I'm using the edge rather than the flat portion. And it's not the easiest. A filbert would be a lot easier than doing it this way. But when you do you know, go over someone else's handiwork, you notice the mistakes and the errors that they have made that were not obvious. Like sometimes we're too hard on ourselves and we go, oh, that circle or that line isn't straight enough or isn't round enough or it's not quite perfect. And yet when you look at other people's work, theirs isn't perfect either, and yet you never noticed. It was just part of their signature work. So I'm trying not to worry about it when mine isn't perfect either. I mean, I can't do anything about it because I definitely won't produce perfect work, but it takes a little bit of the stress away of feeling like you have to have it right. So there you go. I've used the edge of my brush and I've covered most of those arches. So I have 4 of those done. So I'll quickly go to this one. Again. When you're trying to make an arch with a brush that isn't designed for it, you need a little bit more paint, or in this case enamel, on your brush in order to be able to get it into the shape that you want. So you run the risk of there being runs, like the paint dripping. So I'm under bright lights and it's a Queensland summer and very hot, and I have the air conditioner on trying to negate some of that heat. However, even though all of those things are going to help my enamel dry very quickly, I do still run the risk of having some drips. But I can clean that up with some of the acetone. I've tried different bottles. I've decanted the acetone into a few different bottles and it just evaporates. And that's why I thought, well, I'll try it in an actual glass nail polish bottle and see if it will stay without evaporating longer. That one's very not happy with that shape. Oh well. So you can sort of see, hopefully, that I'm on the tippy toe. Alright, now I want to do the top edge So again, I'm loading up my brush, giving it a bit of a wipe, and then I'm using the flat edge to go around. I might have to give it a bit of a shake here. So just running it around the edge. If you want this to stay really glossy, putting a little bit of resin or a clear coat of enamel will stop it from going matte. So there you go. I'm quite happy with that. On the edge it's not quite so even, so I can go along widen that a little bit if I want to, or leave it uneven because it's hand painted. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to look like a machine's gone over it. So that's what have I got? One more to go. All the dots are done. Not all the tops have done. And I'm getting there. Still having fun.